Hey there, Locked On Wolfpack fans. NC State needs our Sherwood Blunt. I'll tell you what that means and more on today's episode of Locked On Wolfpack.
You are Locked On Wolfpack, your daily podcast on the NC State Wolfpack, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Wolfpack fans. It's me again, Kenton Gibbs, with my main man, Grayson Boone. On today's episode of Locked On Wolfpack, we're going to talk about the top 20 NIL collectives in America and, why we're not necessarily a part of that group. And then we've got the ACC-SEC matchups on deck. Now, we're going to start off here with explaining to you what I meant in that cold open when I said NC State needs our Sherwood Blunt. If you've seen the 30 for 30 Pony Excess, SMU was giving away lots of money before that was legal in the NCAA. And they had a famous booster, Dallas real estate developer, one of the richest men in the area at the time, whose name was Sherwood Blunt. And he played on the football team at SMU, I believe. Huge booster. And he infamously came up with the quote, "Guys, we have a payroll to meet when talking about the players on the football team." And folks, after looking at some of these collective numbers, it is very clear NC State is going to have a payroll to meet. Let's roll out the top 10 real quick for y'all. So for those of you who can't see it, we're going to read off the names on this list, and then we'll kind of give our opinions from there. This is just the top 10, not the entire top 20. However, the number one collective is the Spire Sports Group with Tennessee. Number two, the 12-Man Plus Fund with Texas A&M. Number three, Division Street out of Oregon. Number four, the Texas One Fund representing the Longhorns. Number five, the Canes Connection / John Ruiz for Miami. Number six, the Battles End with Florida State. Number seven, House of Victory with USC. Number eight, One Arkansas NIL, obviously for the Razorbacks. Number nine, the Grove Collective representing Ole Miss. And number 10, it's the Country Roads Trust. I bet you all can't guess which school Country Roads is. Of course, it's West Virginia. We all know the song. Now, Grayson, these are the top 10. There is a full top 20 that we also are not a part of. And in a moment like this, and knowing what we know about NIL and how it's impacting the college game, what does this make you say about, does this make you feel any way, rather? Does this make you feel any way or elicit any thoughts or emotions off of that information?
Well, I can't exactly say that I'm surprised that NC State is not in this top 10. We'll get to the rest of the top 20 in just a second, but these names that you're seeing here in the top 10, they're not exactly strangers. They're, more or less exactly who you would expect to see up in that list, mainly because of football, but a lot of basketball relevance in there as well. But, you mentioned a Sherwood Blunt and the extracurriculars they're running back in the Dallas-Fort Worth area in the 80s. But
free my dog Sherwood. He did nothing wrong. Free the guys. Free the guys.
He was making it rain, more or less. But
absolutely.
Yeah, you look at our collectives here in Raleigh, you got Savage Wolves, you have Pack of Wolves, I believe is the other one. They're doing a lot of great work in the NIL front, a lot of community things, getting fans involved, encouraging fans to contribute and, make a difference in our athletic program moving forward. But all that being said, it's going to be hard to catch up to these top 10 dogs here. I mean, these are your perennial powers in college football, and that's just far and away in their kind of in a league in their own. You'll notice, with the exceptions, of course, of Miami, Florida State, and USC, and I guess West Virginia as well, all of these schools are essentially either SEC or Big Ten. Well, Big Ten is more so in the 11 to 20 range, but
right.
that's not exactly a shock either, because those are the schools making more money as a whole, like we discussed a few weeks back in these grant of right deals per conference. But yeah, I mean, surprised at this list? No. But I think being that these are the top 10, you're going to see these top 10 probably reflected in the AP poll top 10, as well, because the money is going to show up one way or another. And if you follow the money, you're going to get to the talent. So it's kind of what it is for the top 10 here.
When I look at this top 10, everybody is a team that I would suspect. Everybody is a team that I would suspect. And I know some people are thinking, well, how is Arkansas in there? How's Ole Miss in there? Da, da, da. You have to understand, number one, neither one of those states are deeply divided in a meaningful way. I'm sorry, Mississippi State fans, it's the truth. Neither one of those states are deeply divided in a very meaningful way. And beyond that, they don't have any professional sports teams. Not a one. Not a single one. So what does that mean? That means that they also have the benefit of those become their de facto professional sports teams. Who are you going to root for if you're in Arkansas? Grayson, you're a baseball guy. Is there a minor league team in Arkansas?
I believe there is. I want to say they're either AA or AAA, but regardless, it's kind of all they have there.
You get me? You understand? Are you picking up what I'm putting down here? There's a clear division of what people want to do there. And even in the state of North Carolina, this is a state that's deeply divided. You've got your Duke folks, you've got your boys and baby blue folks and girls and baby blue folks, and then you've got your NC State folks. That's just how it works out. That's just how it works out. But I say we need our Sherwood Blunt because, let's just be honest. These collectives are more often than not the efforts of everyday people showing up and doing so. It's somebody with some very, very deep pockets, generally. A few people with very, very deep pockets, emptying them out, okay? Turning over a lot there. But, this list, for the most part, 1 through 10, very on brand, not surprising. Let's give a quick peek through 11 through 20. 11, the Matador Club out of Texas Tech. 12, On the Victory, Auburn. 13, Valiant / Champion Circles, University of Michigan. Classic City at 14 for Georgia Boosters. The Montlake Futures for the University of Washington. The Garnet Trust for South Carolina, the University of South Carolina. Crimson and Cream for Oklahoma, and Mass Street Collective, I believe that's Street Collective, out of Kansas. The 1890 Initiative, which is for Nebraska, and the Boulevard Collective out of SMU. Remember I said we need our Sherwood Blunt? You know what I mean? He got exiled from that campus. I don't know if he's back, but the SMU being in the top 20 would imply that, Sherwood's somewhere around there. Free my dog if he's not. Free my dog if he's still got to be away from there. But are there any surprises on this list for you, Grace?
A lot more so in this 11 to 20 half. I think it's interesting that you don't see Alabama in here. Right. I think it's interesting that Georgia is at 14. I think it's interesting that Washington made this list at 15.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting that you see SMU here at 20 because, kind of trying to tie it back into NC State here, I understand that Texas itself has a lot of money. SMU back in the day was peddling a lot of money illegally at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But you look at a school in the American Conference and you look at NC State, it's like there's no way we can get outbid by SMU for players if it were to come down to that. And so that's kind of the point we're trying to make here, in that we got to find our own Sherwood Blunt here in Raleigh, North Carolina. We have got to find a way to get our collectives up, because eventually, this is the new reality here. More money is going to equal more success. Yeah. I don't like it. A lot of people don't like it, but that's where we're at now. And it's, sure, if you don't participate, I promise you're going to get left behind.
It's in essence what we have, a situation for what we have in baseball, just without private owners. In baseball, they don't have like a salary cap or a luxury tax, do they? Or do they? They have something
I
like
think
that?
they're working on trying to like lock down stricter limits on that because
So
it gets because you're gonna see Shohei Ohtani probably make something that starts with a 6 here in a year or two.
good. He deserves it. 10 strikeouts and 2 homers in one game. Yeah, the boy deserves it. The boy, pay the man. Pay him what he wants. But that's neither here nor there. What I was getting at was we're going to see a similar situation to what we see in baseball, where like the Yankees have one of the most expensive teams every single year. Like that's just the nature of the beast and all that. And also just to show the SMU fans some love so they don't get on my back. Oh, Sherwood is the only one with money down here. According to On3 NIL, the collective down there is led by alums Chris Kleinhardt, CEO of the Hunt Realty Investments Group, and Kyle Miller, president and CEO of the Silver Hill Energy Partners. So just a thought there. But those are just our thoughts on the NIL deal. It's a safe bet that players are going where the money resides, right? Like that's, that sound didn't blow up on TikTok and Instagram just because it was a joke. Everybody wants to be where the money, and that's the reality of what we're looking at. That's a safe bet 10 times out of 10 for folks to go where the money is. And speaking of safe bets, let me talk to y'all about FanDuel. It is very clear that you can take your first swing at betting MLB on FanDuel and get 10 times your first bet amount in bonus bets up to $200. You heard that right. That's up to 10 times your original amount bet, up to $200. That is just bet $20 and you'll land 200 in bonus bets. And here's the good part. Remember before it was the bonus bets back if you lost? No. Win, lose, draw, don't matter. You'll get your $200. That's $200 you can spend betting on everything from money line to the over-under to who you think is going to get the first home run to whether or not Shohei is going to put on another 10 strikeout, 2 home run performance. All on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Plus, when you win, you get paid instantly. So sign up today to visit FanDuel.com/locked-on to get up to $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com/locked-on. FanDuel, official partner of Major League Baseball. So, Grayson, the next thing we got to talk about, the ACC-SEC matchups. We're in both of them, men's and women's. The men are taking on Ole Miss. The women taking on Vanderbilt. The men are on the road. The women are at home. Grayson, give me what you think is going to happen in both of these games.
Yeah, I'm very excited to. It feels like graduating up to the ACC-SEC challenge as we have been in the ACC Big Ten challenge for the last couple of years in basketball. But I'm very excited to start to see a new pool of teams that we don't really get to see that often. And I like this matchup for the men's team, traveling down to Oxford to see the new look Ole Miss Rebels under Chris Beard. I think that's a favorable matchup for NC State. It's of course very good for the non-conference schedule, like we talked about, adding Tennessee as well. So seeing 2 SEC teams in the first month and a half, if you can find a way to rattle off 2 wins there, that's going to bode extremely well for the resume as you get closer and closer to March. And the women's also getting Vanderbilt, but that one is here in Reynolds Coliseum. Have to imagine that Wes is going to rally the troops and pull in a quality win there against Vanderbilt. But all in all, yeah, I think this is great for NC State to start playing these SEC teams in this challenge. I think it's great exposure for our school. For men's and women's alike, it can be a very valuable resume booster when the time comes as well. So I think these are very, 2 solid matchups to see in year 1 of this thing. But I'm also excited to see what matchups we'll see down the road as well.
It is surprising how quickly Coach Beard landed on his feet, all things considered, but we're not going to talk about that today. This Ole Miss game is, like you said, going to be a big-time one that you can pull off a win in. It's very winnable. That's a team that doesn't have a lot of their roster is not a good one. Let's just be very frank and honest about that. We should be able to take care of that game. But on this women's side, us playing against Vanderbilt, I see that as a game where it's going to determine who we are as a team from the standpoint of how well do we lock in against a team that's not good? Like, how well does the women's team handle that? And actually, I guess I would say that goes for both teams. I guess I would say for both teams, this is a determiner of how well they lock in and all that good stuff. But one thing I will say, for all the stuff that we say about Coach Keats, how often have we seen that team overlook their opponents? How often have we seen them struggle against a team where you're like, we should be dominating them? Like, generally, if we're struggling against a team, it's like later on in the season, we look up and like, oh man, they're better than we thought they were, or we're not as good as we thought we were later in the season. And so with that being said, the challenge for Westmore is if you want to get back on top of that perch, if you want to rise back to that ACC and really national power that you used to be, a game like this is going to have to be a game where you get things done. And on the men's side, you've arrived to the party. Now stick around for a while. Get yourself a glass of punch. You know what I mean? Hit your little Dougie in the corner. Do your thing at this party. Don't just show your face and leave. It ain't the time. You ain't ready yet. So Coach Keats and company, we're going to see what y'all can do. But I think that both of these matchups are favorable for NC State. And I think that we can get wins in both. But it's about the mindset and mentality of these teams going into those games.
Yeah, and diving in a little deeper here with this Ole Miss matchup, I do think it's a favorable matchup regardless, but I love that it's on the road because, we have arguably our deepest team in probably Keats' tenure, probably even years before that as well. I'm very excited at the construction of our team this year. Still a lot to figure out X's and O's wise, but this is it's a very good early test. SEC team on the road. You're still in the month of November where you're gelling things. And yeah, it's a good show me type game. Cause then of course you got Tennessee just a couple weeks later, and that's a neutral site game. But I love the opportunity to play these SEC teams away from home, because those are like the character building games. That's where you truly find out what you got under the hood. So I'm already amped for this. I wish by then the FanDuel would be legal in the state of North Carolina. I'd like to place a little action on that game, but have to wait a couple more months. But yeah, regardless, I think that's a great early season matchup for Kevin Keats and the Wolfpack.
And you know what? I'm going to say this. I'm going to say we're law-abiding citizens here, so we're not going to put any action on this game. But with that being said, this is – I agree 100%. It's good for your team to go on the road in this type of environment. It's good for your team to have to band together against the team that you should win, but it's going to be on the road. Their fans are going to be giving them energy early. They're going to be giving them all the good vibes and all that. You have to withstand it. You have to withstand it and come out and do what you do over a long period of time. That's what needs to be done there. That's what you want to see. That's what you want to see. That's the type of test that hopefully, even if you start off sluggish, start off slow, start off not how you should, you learn lessons in a win as opposed to a loss. But all of that is to be seen going forward. Folks, we're about to land this thing after a quick word from our sponsors. And we're back. Now, Grayson, all in all, the top 20 NIL collectives, we're not a part of it. Do you see a world where we do get into that list?
It's going to take a lot of work. I think it's probably going to take a lot of time as well. But, we talk about it on here a lot that we got to get our money up across the board. Recruiting, NIL, facilities. If you want to get where we're trying to go in this day and age, you have got to invest in your athletic programs. It is, quite as cut and dry as it sounds. You have got to invest if you're trying to get back out of it what you're putting into it. It's really all there is to it at this point.
The top 20 list is looking at the rest of us saying, it smells like broken here.
Right.
Now, I'm sorry to tell you this, right? And this, we all see from the top 20 that, payments don't directly translate over to success. But it's only in year 3. I am telling you, as this thing goes along, of course, there will always be outliers. There will be a team or two that's paying out the wazoo and not seeing results. But I am willing to, as sure as the sun rises on the east and sets on the west, in the next few years, you'll be able to directly track, oh, that's how that championship team was built. That's how that championship team was built. And I know some people are going to say, well, I don't want a kid who doesn't want to play for the love of the red and white here. I don't want him if he, she, they don't want to play for the love of the school. My brothers, sisters, friends, and whatever deity you believe in, I am telling you, that is not the route you want to go. Okay?
I mean, quick tangent here. If you're a fan of college baseball, you saw that LSU just won it all in Omaha. LSU legitimately purchased a national championship.
Hello?
And
here comes the money.
We all know very well where one of their top hitters came from, but one of their best pitcher, couple bullpen arms, they bought a national championship. But guess what, folks? It's legal, and it just worked. And that's the way it's going to continue to go across the board.
And in the words of a very good friend of mine, get your money up, not your funny up. Okay? That's what we got to do if we want to get in on the natty action too. Thank y'all so very much for coming out. We appreciate you every single time. Make sure you like, subscribe, tell a friend to smash that subscribe button on your way out. Peace and love, y'all. As always, go Pack.
Go Pack.